capitalism is an evil system set up to benefit the few at the expense of the many.
Okay, that's filmmaker Michael Moore. We've come to expect nonsense like that from him, but he's not alone. My last guest was big on communism, and when I interviewed people in Times Square about capitalism and poverty, some said things like this.
Capitalism might be the problem that creates so many poor people.
Capitalism creates poor people? I suppose that's true if your definition of poor is having less than absurdly wealthy people, but where capitalism is allowed, it's true, there's income inequality. Many people say that's immoral, but Ayn Rand, who grew up under communism, wrote very popular books that said, so what if some people have more than others? That's part of freedom, and it's totally moral. Yaron Brook runs an institute that's based on her philosophy. Yaron, this is just selfish, and the communists who just left would say it's mean.
Well, but that's ridiculous. I mean, the idea, so take the last comment about the poor, right? Before capitalism, 300 years ago, 99% of the population of the earth were poor. Everybody but the king. Everybody except the kings who stole, they were the real stealers, were basically poor. Today, everybody, including the poor, are much, much richer than anybody was back then. And it's all due to capitalism. It's all due to the freedom, to property rights, the ability of people to go out there and make and produce at whatever level they can and to feed themselves. And one other thing, I think we need to be careful not to conflate what we have today with capitalism. I mean, what we have today is this mixed economy, right? We have
Government-run schools.
Government-run schools. We have minimum wages. We have a welfare state that writes you a check,
tells you
so
not
that you
to
don't work, tells you not to work. So we don't have capitalism today. But when it's tried, and to the extent that it's tried, China today, millions of people rise out of poverty. One of the untold stories, really, of the last 40, 50 years is the fact that 800 million people have come out of poverty in Southeast Asia. 800 million people out of poverty in Southeast Asia because they've implemented a little bit of capitalism. And before they did that, tens of millions of people were starving to death. To sit here and argue for communism, when communism is being directly responsible for the brutal murder of well over 100 million people, if you take...
Well, he would say that those were just bad leaders, but the idea of sharing is good.
No, the idea of sharing is what it directly leads to those kind of the gulags and
Why? Why should it have to?
Because the fact is we're not all the same. We're not all equal. Just look around any group of people. Some of us work hard and some of us don't. Some of us are really smart and some of us don't. The only way then to make us equal is to take from those who've created and to give it to those. We're talking take sounds soft, sounds nice, right? Take. But no, we're talking about take. We're talking about pulling out guns, sticking your hand in your pocket and taking out the money, stealing. That's what. And
you may say, well, they don't do that in America, but try not paying your taxes. Men with guns will come to your house and force you to pay or put you in jail.
Absolutely, and of course, the more you make, the more productive you are, the more wealth you create, the more innovative you are, the more you've used your mind, the harder you work, the more they take from you. And that's, in my view, that is inherently unjust. Equality is massively unjust. The idea that we should all be forced to be the same when we're clearly all so different.
When I was in communist Russia, people told me, some people anyway, that they liked the security that communism gave them. They knew they had a job.
I can be sure of the tomorrow, you see. That's the thing I like. I can be sure of my work. You see, I never have any doubts.
What kind of freedom in the United States? Tough freedom. It's, you have to worry about your life or your apartments.
Americans have to worry.
Life requires worrying. Life requires a certain amount of stress. That's what it is. So they want to live off of somebody else worrying. Somebody actually has to produce the stuff that they live off of. Look, there are always going to be people who want it easy, who want to just get by. I worked for a while with somebody who had come from the Soviet Union and was complaining that he had to go into the grocery store and choose between 8 different types of toilet paper, and that really upset him. He just wanted to be told. But the fact is, and you said it earlier on the show, they were gray, they were unhappy, they looked miserable, and that is what that kind of life, if you don't challenge yourself, if you don't have a little bit of anxiety in life, if you're not a little pushed, if you're not trying to strive towards something, life becomes dull and boring and meaningless, and I think to a lot of these people it did.
And it's still dull and bad in much of Russia, but in some countries, Estonia, Czech Republic, Poland, they have brought excitement and wealth and joy.
Absolutely, and it's vibrant and exciting and dynamic. And you go, and the reason in Russia is that they took one authoritarian system, communism, and replaced it with another authoritarian system, call it fascism. But it's statism, it's state control, either way.
Thank you, Yaron Brook. Coming up, the people who resisted communism not with guns, but by singing.